Welcome back to Digital Drawing 101, the Drawing Animals course. My name is Kirk Nelson. This is lesson number 2, where we take a look at the tools and resources. I want to point out that this is a 101 level course, which means I'm expecting a beginner to intermediate level of proficiency. Not necessarily drawing proficiency, but software proficiency. We're going to be using Photoshop CC 2014 and Illustrator CC 2014. Now, these are the versions I'm using for all the coursework, but if you don't have them, you can probably still use as far back as CS6 to follow along, and there shouldn't be much of an issue there. I am expecting you to have at least basic knowledge of how to use Photoshop. This isn't a Photoshop tutorial course. I need you to already know how to find your way around the workspace, how to use the interface, and what the tools do. Now with Illustrator, I'm expecting a little bit less knowledge because that program isn't quite as well known. So while I do expect a somewhat medium level proficiency with Photoshop, I will assume a very basic beginner level proficiency for Illustrator, and so we'll walk slowly through what those tools do. I'm also going to very strongly recommend that you use a drawing tablet for any of the drawing courses you ever take. Attempting to draw with a mouse is somewhat painful and not very efficient. I use a Wacom tablet, as you see here, and I find that it works beautifully for the digital drawing that I do. Along with this course, there should be a folder labeled Course Files. And inside that folder are subfolders for each lesson where you will need a specific file to work with. I do want to point out that within each of these, the PSD file that you'll find in there, that's the source Photoshop file or Illustrator file, if that's what's needed, represents the end state of that lesson. So you can easily see where my project ended up at the end of that individual lesson. And because these lessons build on each other, I don't provide a starter state necessarily. What I'm expecting you to do is just use the end state from the previous lesson to start the next one. I do it this way because it creates a much more seamless workflow if you work through at least each of the chapters in a single sitting, which is really what I recommend that you do. A quick note about the stock images that we use in the observational stages of each project. These are free stock images that are downloaded from sites like freeimages.com or Morguefile. Now, unfortunately, I cannot distribute these to you, but I have included links so that you can download them yourself. And you'll see that in each of the course files as well. Now, these are completely free. You may need to register a username just so that you can log in, but you will never be charged for any of these. One other quick thing before we close out here. I need you to go into Photoshop, and I need you to set up your pencil tools. Grab your brush tool, and up here on the upper left in the options bar, these are the tool presets. Now, Photoshop comes packaged with some pencil presets, and that's right here. Pencil brushes or pencils mixer brushes, you're going to want just the regular pencil brushes. So open them up and add them to your list, and you'll see them as 2B, 2H, 4B, 4H, and so on pencils. Now, I've created my own digital workspace called Digital Drawing, where I've got this Tool Presets panel selected over here because I tend to use these quite a bit in my digital drawing. And you can do that yourself if you wish, simply by opening up the Tool Presets panel, placing it where you want, and then saving the whole thing as a new workspace. So that's enough with the housekeeping of this course. Let's go ahead and get started. Launch lesson 3, and we'll talk about observation and gesture sketching.